This is Partners in Crime with Adam Croft and Robert Daws.
Hello, welcome to Partners in Crime. It's a different show today. Well, it's not. It's kind of back to how things were meant to be. We are back in the studio. You might have noticed, if you are watching through Patreon, if you've got access to the videos and you're not just listening, you may see we're back in the studio. We're social distancing. Bob's over there, 2 metres away. Hello, Bob. You might have noticed we've also got our face masks on. So that might be why we sound a bit different. If you're just listening and you're not watching, we sound a little bit odd because we are covered. We can talk. Bob's just being a bit actory.
Well, I'm going to take this off now. That's it, because we are fully socially distanced.
Yes, we are 2 metres apart.
The Croft household is absolutely rigorous in this respect, and it's probably taken this terrible pandemic to make sure that I'm at least 2 metres away from Mr. Croft. Always happier at a distance.
But these face masks, by the way, I'll just hold that up there for the camera. They are Partners in Crime face masks that we've had made. Not only, we haven't just had them made for ourselves, they're actually available to purchase. Moriarty's been doing a little bit of work behind the scenes on this and has actually got, so we'll talk about this a little bit later on. I don't want to make it sound too salesy, but we do have a Partners in Crime merchandise shop available online. I know.
I've just seen it. It is very, very impressive. Well done, Moriarty. Well done.
Well, you can get hold of your own Partners in Crime mugs now,
yes.
which is nice if you like mugs. There are coasters, t-shirts. Have you got a slim fit t-shirt for you there, Bob?
Yes, I've got a couple of those already. Yes.
Partners in Crime cushions.
They don't work. I've found those slim fit. Anything slim fit doesn't work with me.
No.
What's going on?
I don't know. No, I'm the same. Yeah, 3 kinds of masks, by the way, I'm just seeing here. There are also kids' masks. So if you want your partners, your children to have a Partners in Crime mask, or a teenage one, and there's an adult one.
Basically, they're not designed for crime at all. They're designed for the anniversary market. Ideal gifts to give your husband or your wife on your anniversary. A Partners in Crime, whatever you want. What have you got? You've got t-shirts, as you say. You've got mugs. You've got
cushions, drawstring bags.
You've got
badges.
Look, the new Aston Martin.
It's
a fantastic range of absolutely essential products.
Tote bags
with Partners in Crime emblazoned across each and every one.
We've basically slapped our logo on a load of tat, and it's now for sale. So there's a
it's
link.
Good quality. Listen, look, I've got a mug here.
Partners
in Crime. Have you got your Partners in Crime mug?
I haven't. No.
You haven't.
I've got my big mug today.
Well, I'm holding it up to camera,
it's a big mug day.
I don't know how to do some Foley to suggest that I'm holding it up for audio only listeners. But they're very well made.
Maybe we could hear a sip.
You can.
Quality of that mug, you can hear the echo off the ceramic.
It goes deep. It's a deep. This is a lovely cup of coffee, by the way. It's a fine product. So I can only imagine the t-shirts, and we don't do pens, do we?
Not yet. I'm sure it won't be long.
Yeah, I think that would be quite a good thing to have some Partners in Crime pens.
Yeah, or guns.
So there we are. Good goodness me, we're going all Amazon. God rest our soul.
So yeah, I'm sure the link will be in the show notes there. I'm not going to push it too hard, but if you do want a Partners in Crime mask or mug or anything like that, they are now commercially available. And of course, that will help support the podcast.
It will. It'll get us through the hard days, the hard yards of podcasting, which we nobly and bravely struggle on to do on limited funds.
Yes, we are. It's quite odd, isn't it? I'm kind of talking to you as if you're not here, but you're kind of behind me.
I'm kind of behind you. Yes, I'm coming out of the sun at 3:00, and it's a very dangerous position because I can upstage like nuts. And believe you me, what I don't know about upstaging.
We can't quite see you. You're kind of hidden behind the microphone a bit. Every time I turn around and speak to you, of course, I'm looking at the back of my head on the video, so it's all a little bit...
It's a bit discombobulating, isn't it?
Yes, but we've got it working. Main thing is the show must go on and all that. How have you been? You've been... we had a week off, didn't we? Did we?
We had a little week off, and I had a strange sort of holiday.
In the end.
Which we weren't expecting. A very kind relative of ours said, listen, you guys need a little holiday, so stumped up a little bit of cash in these straitened times. So off we went, and we were going to go to Greece, and we got to the airport, we were turned away because we didn't have our people locator forms for Greece. There was no mention in it on the last minute platform. There was a tiny little mention right at the end of the Wizz Air thing, but of course it came right at the bottom, and I usually stop reading those documents when they're trying to sell me cars and lots of other insurances and stuff that I don't really need. You naturally think that it's over, and then it came under a heading of COVID precautions and stuff, and we look at those now and we know them inside out. We can recite them by rote. So it was missed, and we got to the airport all excited. We couldn't believe that we were going to be having a holiday, albeit going to the safest place in Europe, and they wouldn't let us on. They said, no, you haven't filled out your form, and it's nothing to do with us, Gov. And I have to say, I've got quite a lot of anger with lastminute.com, which I will not be using again, and certainly with Wizz Air, who unceremoniously just told us to go away. So, yes, it was a bit of a disaster. We managed to get there in the end, but it was we had a foreshortened break, but it was we had a lovely time, so I'm not complaining, because lots of people haven't had a holiday. Basically, it still turned out to be cheaper than going anywhere in the UK, pretty much. Yeah, because that's what we did first. We looked, and we go here, we go there. They're mostly booked up way in advance, and the rest were sort of 3 times the normal price. So
should have tried Rutland.
I should. Do you know what exactly? I will. If there is a nice bed and breakfast or a part hotel with a swimming pool or a reservoir.
I don't know about swimming pools, but there's a whacking great pond in the middle of the county.
Yes. Are you allowed to swim in it? I bet you're not.
Yeah. I have seen people do it. I don't know whether it's allowed or whether it's allowed at the moment.
Yeah. That's interesting. So yes, it was. It turned out to be just lovely in the end, but much too short and much too stressful to get there. So
holidays are stressful. We've got this thing now. We've pulled a bit of a blinder, actually. When we go, we tend to go with either my parents or my wife's parents for a couple of reasons. First of all, because that way we get free babysitting while we're on holiday, so we actually get to have at least a couple of evenings out during the week or two that we're away.
Me.
Yeah, me. Also, I love going on holiday, but I cannot stand booking them, mainly because I don't care where I go or when I go. Both of those things are very flexible. All I want is certain parameters. I don't want to be far from the airport at the other end, because there's nothing worse than getting off a 4-hour plane journey and then going, only another 2.5 hours on the coach. But I want to be near enough the town that, with a 3-year-old, it doesn't take me 4 hours to walk home at the end of the evening, the 100 yards we've got to go. Various little things like that, which you don't really get to put into a search engine, which, all they want to know is where do you want to go and when. I don't really care about either of those. So booking holidays is not fun. So that way, if I say to other people, why don't you come on holiday with us? Why don't we all go together? You can book it.
Me.
Yeah.
And, well, do you know what? I'm not. I've always prided myself over the last years when we've gone on holiday of being able to book it and get it all done, apart from this debacle where I was caught totally by surprise. And I'm going to use this travel agent in future.
Yeah.
I've decided. I was reading an article. Eamon Holmes wrote an article.
I think so. Eamon Holmes is a travel agent now.
Is he? Well, he's probably got a sideline as a travel agent. Come to the Isle of Wight, and why not? It's a beautiful place. I'm going to do that because they're professionals. Most of the time, they've been to the places they're recommending, or they know someone who has. They're absolutely professional. They've gone terribly out of fashion because people think that they cost a fortune. Well, I don't think they do. Very often, they can get you a very good deal. This is what I'm told, and they take the worry out of the booking thing, which is what you're talking about, and it is stressful actually. Trying to get it all right, trying to get the flights right, and this idea of matching a cheap flight with a cheap holiday and a hotel and whatever, where all these big sites last minute boo hiss have cleaned up on. I think a travel agent will do a much better job, and usually with a personal service, which is terrific at no extra cost. I don't think, or so I believe. So that's what I'm going to do in future. If I ever have enough money to go on holiday again, or come to that, the stamina, I am going to go into the middle of Ampthill, where there is apparently a terribly good travel agent, called, what is it called?
It's called Savvy Travel. Do you know
Savvy
what?
Travel.
That travel agent, they've got 2 branches in the UK, 2 shops. Do you know where the other one is?
Do you know what? I bet it's near Rutland.
It's in Oakham, yeah.
I'm
not.
Yeah. No, that was not an organised segue, listeners.
And they are very good as well. They've helped us get holidays before.
Oh, have they?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go to them in future, and but it won't be for some time, I'm afraid. So
there you go. Only the very finest, in-depth crime fiction discussion here on Partners in Crime. We're 11 minutes in, and we haven't even mentioned crime fiction.
I think me being turned away from Luton Airport is a crime.
Luton Airport in general is a crime, to be honest with you.
Do you know what? We ended up going from Stansted in the end, with its circuitous route. Still not on crime. And I know Luton will get there in the end, but it's been a building site for as long as I can remember. Whatever. But my goodness me, when you go to an airport where it's all up and running, with a nice little rail thing that gets
Stansted's great.
You know, I mean, you realise what a hole Luton's been for all these years. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's very convenient. It's only 15 minutes down the road.
Oh, glorious town of my birth.
But yes, and Luton, of course, as we all know, is a lovely place, and Dunstable, which is it twinned?
I hope not.
People do mention it seems to be between Luton and Dunstable Hospital and things like that. But
they are kind of joined, aren't they? I don't think they're technically related, but they are pressed right up against each other.
They have both their own very strong identities.
No social distancing there.
But independent states in their own right.
Yes.
Okay. Right, so crime. Go. 2, 3, 4.
We had a tour of Bedfordshire, we had a tour of Greece and a tour of Rutland, all within 12 minutes. But now, let's turn to some crime. I saw in the news last week, whenever it was, that I printed this off, that Simon Mayo, the British radio presenter, has, or is releasing a crime fiction book.
It's not his first, is it?
It's not his first book, no. I think it's his first crime novel.
Is it?
He's been writing for younger readers for a while, and he does write in general. Of course, formerly of Radio 1, Radio 2, and now on the very good classical radio station Scala, which I listen to when I get the time to listen to anything. He says that his job presenting the mid-morning show on the new digital classical radio station has allowed him to move more smoothly between the popular and serious arts, and publishers are now knocking at his door for his writing talents. He's been taken a little more seriously now.
Good.
He says obviously he feels much more confident about the radio because he's been doing it for so long, and he's very comfortable with a microphone in front of him. But writing, he says, is different. He has to persuade himself that what he's doing is good work and that he's actually a real author. He says, I suppose I've got a touch of imposter syndrome. But then again, I think all writers do to some extent. The new book is called Knife Edge. It features a female investigative journalist, Fanny Madden. In a series of coordinated attacks, 7 members of the investigations team at the news agency where she works are murdered. She is soon on a perilous mission to find out which terrorist group is behind the murders, with all the evidence suggesting that many others are to die. He said he was very much looking forward to getting out and meeting readers, of course, but the pandemic has kind of put a stop to that. He says, I was looking forward to meeting them, which I've done with earlier books of mine. In some ways, it's actually the best thing about the writing job. You sweat away at the laptop, a very solitary activity, and then when you're finally talking to people who have read and enjoyed the finished book, it's a wonderful sense of completion. Your book exists.
Yes, well, that's spot on. I think that's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, that's why I've loved the Rutland books so much and doing those, because I've actually been able to get out and meet people and talk to them. Of course, with the other ones, you get emails and you get the usual things there, which are absolutely wonderful. Please don't stop sending me nice emails. But getting out and actually meeting people and seeing people walking down the street holding the book, having just come out of the bookshop half an hour after it's opened, you can't beat that.
It's a wonderful thing, and very well described by Simon Mayer. Of course, he's a first-class broadcaster, and so he's used to communicating things in that particular form. So it's no great surprise that he manages to actually write as well. But that's very good news. What's the name of the book again?
Knife Edge.
Knife Edge. There we are. Well, that's one to get on. I'm going to get it. Shall I download it from anywhere?
Yes, you can. Yes, I would say if you've not bought a book from Kobo before, you should probably give it a go, because they give Partners in Crime listeners 90% off of their first purchase, so that you'll save a hell of a lot of money.
How many times have I said "wow" at that statement over the years?
I don't know.
I mean, it's still a wow moment, isn't it?
I'm sure
90%. I mean, that's extraordinary.
Yeah, I'm sure when Moriarty's got a spare couple of hours, he'll go and look through all of the previous episodes and just take out all of the wows and put them in a little clip.
I'm offering 90% of my next book, which means you just get the first 40 pages. And it's a short story, obviously. So, yeah. Well, no, carry on with the Kobo.
Yeah, well, use the promo code CRIME at the checkout. They'll give you 90% off of your first purchase. Existing customers can use the promo code PARTNERS for 40% off of selected titles. Use the link in the show notes for that. And bear in mind, you don't need an e-reader or a fancy device. If you're listening to this, you can read the books. You can do it on a mobile phone, on the tablet, or on just about anything using the free Kobo app.
Right, well, moving to television now. My lovely son, Ben, is with us this week. He's a Bristol man now. He's taking a film degree down there and enjoying himself tremendously. But he introduced me to a series called Top Boy, which is, I think, one of the most extraordinary things I've seen in years. Is it a crime story? Yes, it certainly is. It's set in the world of drug gangs in North London, and it's absolutely riveting. I'll tell you what it is. Top Boy is a British television crime drama series created and written by Ronan Bennett. The series is set on the fictional Summer House estate in Hackney, East London. The first series was broadcast on Channel 4 over 4 consecutive nights from the 31st of October to the 3rd of November 2011. A second series began airing on Channel 4 in 2013. Although storylines for a third series were proposed, the series was dropped by Channel 4 in 2014. Now, this is when it turns around. In November 2017, it was announced that following interest from Canadian rapper Drake, Netflix would revive the series, ordering a new season of 10 episodes, with both Ashley Walters and Kane Robinson reprising their roles. Series creator Ronan Bennett returned to script most episodes along with the original creative team, with Drake, Adele Nur and Maverick Carter and Jamal Henderson all joining the series as executive producers. The revival season premiered on Netflix on the 13th of September 2019 as Season 1, whilst the original series was billed as Top Boy Summer House. It's been confirmed that on the 31st was confirmed in December 2019 that Season 4 has been renewed and will air later in 2020. Well, I've just caught up with, I haven't seen the first two, the Top Boy Summer House, but I will do. I'll go back and catch those, because I was absolutely knocked out by this series. I'm sort of lost for words. It's
Thank
as
Christ
I said,
for that.
It's all about drug gangs and the culture of drug gangs. The violence, the emotional pull of the series, I think, is quite extraordinary. I was on the edge of my seat all the way through this series. The acting universally through this, and in particular, as we say, from Ashley Walters and Kane Robinson, who are the main protagonists in this story of what amounts to gang warfare, are quite superb. There's no part of this production that isn't, I think, quite superbly done. You need to brace yourself if you're going to sit down and watch this. It really is quite strong stuff, but it is a beautiful thing. It will make you cry, it will make you laugh at times, but it will make you wonder about this extraordinary world we live in, and how some people turn to criminal life for greed, and many others, turn to it out of necessity. And the structure of gangs, certainly in the major cities throughout the world, it's pretty much the same, I'm sure. But this is London, and it's a very moving piece. It's thrilling at moments. It's beautifully shot, very sensitively done, and the screenplay by Ronan Bennett is quite superb. So I can't recommend Top Boy. Do you watch the first two first? Well, I haven't. I came in with Series 3. Series 4, as I've said, is coming out later in this year. Apparently it is on Netflix, so I would just get stuck in and see what you think. It is a brilliant series. So that's my crime thriller recommendation for the week. Top Boy on Netflix.
Top Boy, Bob. Top Boy.
Thank you very much.
Erin Kelly has been talking to the Cambridge Independent, which of course I read from cover to cover every week, when a friend called her to tell her about the disastrous date she had just been on. Says the Cambridge Independent, it set off a train of thought for the novelist that led to her latest book. The friend had been dragged into an unsettling situation by a man who claimed to be an urban explorer, which meant he broke into derelict buildings to photograph them. But then she discovered something upsetting. He took her to an old hospital outside Maidstone in Kent, Erin Kelly says, and while he was getting his photos with the dust on the curtains and the bird droppings everywhere and the ivy that was growing on the inside, she went exploring through the administration buildings and she found old patient records. This friend apparently actually works for the NHS, so she knew it was a horrible breach of privacy and knew what needed doing with the records. It wasn't a criminal hospital, so the records didn't contain any crimes that people had committed, but it contained very personal details of people in the 1970s and 80s, so they would likely still be alive. She said if the records got into the wrong hands, she knew how much damage could be done, and as a crime writer she was thinking, yeah, that would make a really good plot. Around the same time, Erin had become fascinated by a former mental asylum near her home in London, which had been converted into luxury flats. And her new novel, We Know You Know, is based around that premise. It's out now in paperback, having been renamed from its hardback title of Stone Mothers. It tells the story of Marianne Smythe, who 30 years ago committed a crime and then fled her home in Suffolk, where the Nazareth Mental Asylum loomed large in order to leave the past behind. It's also been chosen as one of the Richard and Judy summer books, which can often make novels into instant bestsellers. The third time one of hers has been picked. I like to think of ourselves as the Richard and Judy of the podcast world, Bob.
Yes, I enjoy being Richard.
Just wait for my wardrobe malfunction.
Well, I see you're still in shorts. I've actually put on some strides today because the weather is inclement.
It's wet, but it's still warm, isn't it?
I mean, what about? Yeah, let's talk about the weather. We're British.
Let's do it.
I mean, what's this August about? I mean, this must be some form of global warming. I know it's just a complete and utter washout. Apparently, our potatoes for the winter are going to be in a right old state. They're sort of, yes, it does. You can't have damp crops.
Don't like it wet, do they?
They don't like it. They don't like it wet. So
you don't want wet spuds.
No, but it's been fairly ghastly. It's been humid, so that always reminds you of how wonderful the weather could be and how warm and glorious it could be. But I suppose we shot our bolt really with May. And the end of April being so pleasant, and thank goodness they were, because being in lockdown, it was one of the few things that gave some sort of relief and light, not at the end of the tunnel.
Well, now we're back at work. It can rain, I suppose, can't it? It's not too bad. It's worked out that way, I guess.
Yeah,
and we haven't all been to Greece in the last week either.
No, well, I had a thunderstorm in Greece. Thank you very much indeed. They were totally surprised by that. They said they never get a thunderstorm. Really, so the weather is changing all around the globe, and I know people have different theories. Trump's got one theory, if you can call it that, and sensible people have, and scientists say that we're in a perilous state. Anyway, that's I've got no understanding of why it's so damp and miserable in mid beds, but there we are.
Well. Yes, don't damp spuds, and you don't want damp beds, do you?
It's the North Atlantic drift. Apparently, it's hitting too low or too high or not at all. That's the reason I've been given, and I still don't fully understand it.
Well, I'll stick to my fiction because the real world is too depressing.
And of course, that reservoir in Rutland is not tidal.
No, not yet. If we carry on the way we're going, maybe. It's awards season. There's lots of stuff going on that front. The Crime Writers Association have announced their shortlist for the Gold Dagger, which was created in 1955 and awarded to the best crime novel by an author of any nationality. Mick Herron's Joe Country is on the shortlist, as is Claire Askew's What You Pay For. Lou Burney's November Road, which has also earned a nomination for the Ian Fleming Steel Dagger for Best Thriller, up against novels including Between Two Evils by Eva Dolan. John Fairfax's Forced Confessions is also on the Gold Dagger shortlist, Abir Mukherjee's Death in the East, and Michael Rowbottom's Good Girl, Bad Girl. Death in the East also appears on the shortlist for the Historical Dagger Award too.
So who chooses these books?
I've absolutely no idea. Presumably a panel of experts. The winner will be announced during a ceremony on October the 22nd, which is my friend's birthday.
Oh, well, there we are. Maybe they'll announce that as well.
Unlikely. But,
which friend is it?
Russell. I'm going to forget before we get to October anyway.
The winner of the Dagger, and happy birthday, Russell.
I'll have forgotten by the time it gets to October the 22nd. It just jumped out at me then, so I thought I might as well say it now so I sound like a good friend.
It's all in the detail.
It is, yeah. There's lots of stuff going on in the news here. You've, I see, got a John Grisham book.
I have got a John Grisham here, but now this is part of my holiday reading. I've always been a big fan of John Grisham. Most people seem to be. And this is not his very latest, but it's not far off. It's a book called The Whistler, which I thought would make very good holiday reading, and indeed it did. I'll tell you a little bit about it. Lacey Stultz never expected to be in the firing line investigating judicial misconduct by Florida's 1,000 judges. Her cases so far have been relatively unexciting. That's until she meets Greg Myers, an indicted lawyer with an assumed name who has an extraordinary tale to tell. Myers knows a whistleblower who has the dirt on a female judge in league with organised crime. She has hustled through legislation for the building of a casino on Indian reservation. Anyone who opposed the scheme is dead. The judge and her friends have made several fortunes from the skimmed profits. No one has a clue what she's been doing until now. Now Myers wants Lucy to start an investigation. In doing so, she will put herself firmly in the sights of the killers. Well, it's a typical John Grisham a novel, and that is no way derogatory. It's fast-paced, it's full of detail. It's if you have a legal bent, then that's all the better, and especially an American-based, States-based legal bent. Lucy Stultz works with partner Hugo Hatch for the Board on Judicial Conduct, which is the investigative body looking into misconduct and in the judiciary in Florida. I didn't know that such a thing existed. I don't know whether we've got a similar thing over here. We probably have, but it is fascinating. It's a fast-paced novel full of detail. If I've got one slight quibble, and this is not for necessarily general readers, and I don't mean to be in any way patronising, but from a writer's point of view, there tends to be I notice a slight repetition of one or two facts again and again and again, and you sort of realise why by the end, but I sort of flagged up, and I don't know whether that's a sort of a professional observation that most people wouldn't necessarily sort of notice, but that was one area where I thought it sort of gave the game away a little bit, but it doesn't matter because it's done with the usual bravura. He has the formula absolutely right about a third of the way through. Suddenly there's this life-changing event which is spectacularly written, which does really sort of keep you turning those pages, and of course a very satisfying ending to the book. So I would recommend it if you haven't recommended it and you want a good old fast-paced legal thriller a novel. It's interesting from the point of view that I had no idea of there are several Indian reservations who are sort of independent states within the United States. They have their own laws, they have their own police, and they have their own rights. And on these some of these reservations, casinos have been built because they do not have to abide by state or federal law in that respect. And of course, John Grisham in this case looks at the possibilities for corruption within that particular paradigm. I had no idea. It's a bit like sort of Rutland's an independent state, and it's opened a big casino just on the reservoir, and it was set up by devious means. Not that anyone in Rutland would actually pursue that particular path whatsoever. So there we are. It's the Whistler.
I think a whacking great casino would probably stand out in Rutland.
It probably would. It probably would. The Whistler. What's the talent? Who judges the judges? Fascinating. Available, of course, on Kobo. So that's one of my holiday reads. Ken Follett says that John Grisham is the best thriller writer alive, and I'm not going to argue with Ken Follett.
If you're still waiting, I was still looking for something to read, if that didn't appeal, then maybe our book of the month will do. It's Rachel Amflett's Turn to Dust.
Yes.
If you are a Partners in Crime patron, then first of all, thank you very much. And second of all, you can get hold of that book completely free. Our patrons only pay, I think, a couple of pounds a month, and they get a free book as part of that, as well as everything else, getting to watch the episodes, getting to access them days before they go on all the public platforms, and you get lots of other bits and bobs too. The link is in the show notes. I think it's patreon.com/Partners in Crime podcast. And one of our patrons, we have been told, and we were on the birthday theme a few moments ago, has a birthday this week. So very, very happy birthday to Lisa Bayliss. It's her birthday on Sunday, we are told. So happy birthday to you,
Happy birthday, lovely Lisa.
Many, many happy returns to you. I think we are probably just about there, Bob.
Really?
Yeah. We're nearly 32 minutes in. I think we've got loads of stuff left here.
We are approximately 120 seconds over time.
We are indeed. Yeah.
I promised to put this podcast in on time, and we have gone over. The repercussions of such action I do not need to inform you about.
You sounded like that mayor you played in the Ben Elton
Yes,
one, which I like to remind you of at every opportunity.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed. Only time I've had to wear lycra in public, and it's, I'll do a lot of things for a laugh, but for goodness sake, that wasn't a laugh, that was a horror story. So there we go.
Well, on that note, I think we're just about done.
Yes, me and lycra, and happy birthday, Lisa.
Bye.
Bye.
Partners in Crime was presented by Adam Croft and Robert Daws and produced by Adam Croft. The theme tune was by the Caesareans. The Partners in Crime logo and imagery were designed by Stuart Beisch. Partners in Crime is sponsored by Kobo, your favourite local bookshop, perfected.